So that's the meta, just her no tops and just her boobs, and that's it.
That clip gave me secondhand cringe. It felt very awkward to watch. Like, I shouldn't be in the room witnessing that. Like, I don't belong there. Not only that, but the content's kind of stale. Like, she's just sitting there waiting around to receive donations. She doesn't seem that entertaining or interesting. So I guess that's why she does that content where she has to play Mario in the background, even though she's not actually playing the game. And she wasn't the only one doing this. There were other girls doing it too, if not worse. There was even this one VTuber who did the same camera angle as her, as the avatar, and then they had the images, the porn, just literally flipping through a slideshow of different pornographic images. And it was a girl avatar, and then they opened their mouth, and I heard a man's voice, and I was shook. I was like, oh my god, I guess everyone's getting in on this.
That's right, artistic nudity is allowed. No, yes it is. Honestly, right now I'm more invested in the marbles race than the booba, yeah. And honestly, I don't blame you.
Basically, Twitch's entire site was flooded with content like this, and this happened ever since Twitch changed their TOS, and they did this in the same week that they shut down the Korean version of Twitch. So what a coincidence that they would allow porn on their website. It's almost like they're doing it for money. Even after Twitch did a rollback on these policies, when people started to complain about the blatant pornography on their website that's marketed to kids, because once again, 13-year-olds can sign up on Twitch and they could see everything. There was no sort of barrier. It was just one little pop-up once you click the stream when you've already seen the naked pictures, the porn on the website, scrolling through it. Then it prompts you after you've already seen it and you click it and you click, okay, I'm above 18. And then it just lets anyone view, logged in or not, even if you're logged in as a 13-year-old. But you can see here, even after they did the rollback, it says, we aren't making other changes to the updated sexual content policy. And what that means is basically that they will allow strip teasing, they will allow twerking, and you can also stream on Twitch if you're 13 years old. Meaning, in theory, they could have a potential trafficking issue coming up. Not just with them promoting the pornography directly to the kids, because you could just be watching a Fortnite stream and then it pops up in your recommended, or you can click it and easily accidentally click it, scroll by it, whatever. But also with the fact that there's no rule seemingly against a 13-year-old doing the explicit streams of strip teasing. So even after the rollback, even though you can't have blatant nudity anymore on the site, you can still have this sexual content. And as far as I've seen, I don't really see any ID verification on Twitch's end unless you become a partner. And then you also have the issue of girls and guys that are going to be streaming themselves doing pole dances and taking off their clothes and doing strip teases and having the kids watch that. Even if they don't want to, it's literally being thrown in their face. And I want to come back to that in a second. I saw that Asmongold was cheering about the Twitch TOS changes, saying basically, if you don't like it, then don't watch it. How can you say if you don't like it, don't watch it? Meanwhile, it's being promoted and thrown into the faces of everyone watching, whether you're logged in or not, or if you're even 13 years old and logged into an account. You expect to see some furry twerking on a dance pole wearing their kink gear, and the 13-year-old children should just be expected to not know to watch that or to know the consequences of that. That's ridiculous. If that were the case, then children would be able to consent, but they can't, because even if you say yes to something, you have to know what you're agreeing to. A lot of porn addicts whose addictions have costed them healthy relationships and actual romantic, intimate relationships started in their youth. When you're watching someone gamble or drink, you're not necessarily partaking in the addiction, you're just observing it. But when you watch pornography, you are a participant in that addiction, in which pornography is not appropriate for children. And it can literally change how children's brains watching this works, which can also eventually make kids want a harder and harder hit like any other drug, and it makes them go down the pipeline of pornography, which includes the less vanilla stuff and even things involving romanticizing infantile behavior, if you catch my drift. Or maybe they turn into furries or whatever else. It's the same concept as other substances, getting a harder and harder hit. And children in particular do not developmentally have the capability to handle that. Maybe one day that little boy that's watching porn on Twitch ends up being the simp that pays OnlyFans girls to be in a parasocial relationship with him so that it replaces actually having a girlfriend or any sort of meaningful intimacy with a woman. And I see a lot of people blaming the parents as well. If you had a dealer going around schools, you wouldn't be like, oh, well, just don't take it. You would find an issue with that. Yes, parents have to watch out for their kids and monitor their kids, but we shouldn't be giving Twitch a pass to promote this content to children, especially when they're explicitly doing it when they're logged in as 13-year-olds. There's no sort of filter or barrier to entry.
Previously prohibited, but now allowed with label. Erotic dances that involve disrobing or disrobing gestures such as holy shit! Popular dances such as twerking, grinding, and pole dancing are now allowed without a label. All right! Is Twitch back?
I think the reason that Asmongold has this take is, well, we have to remember he dated Pink Sparkles, who was a sex worker. The woman that Asmongold dated was one of the first, if not the first person to normalize and popularize these sort of explicit streams where she would bend into the camera doing provocative posing and doing squats and exchanging that for money. So, you know, of course he wants this content for his own selfish Coomer reasons, but why should we value a guy's PP being hard at the expense of children's safety and rights to innocence? Twitch is doing absolutely nothing about it. The only thing they've done was roll back the one change, not the rest of it, the one change about full-on nudity. So I don't really agree with Asmongold's take on just don't watch it, or, you know, Twitch was always scandalous, so it's fine. I don't think that that makes it okay. He did have some reasonable takes in his stream where he said that the thumbnails should be blurred and it should be in a different section instead of just chatting. You shouldn't click just chatting and then see a bunch of explicit content, which I do agree with.
Like, I would say that I think this stream is sexual in nature. I would. I think I would go that far. I would say it. And because of that, I think that in general, any of this stuff, they should have to be in a different category. That is a sexually labeled category. I think that also, like, one thing that they should do, if this is this type of content, there are people who are going to break this rule. I can guarantee you. Because, like, if you're a girl and you're doing this stuff, you're trying to sell OnlyFans subscriptions, what would you do if you read this? You would say, okay, I'm going to stream in the just chatting section. That way I'm still on people's recommended. I think they should just have it to where if you have people that are trying to break this rule, you add a blur to their to their thumbnail. That's all they need to do.
But overall, his sentiment was just cheering for it, and this is not something that should be taken lightly. And when you see they're 13, that you are allowing them to not only be promoted that content without any barrier to entry, but also stream that content because you're not ID verifying them. And because of that, they could be even younger than 13. Girls here get their period at like 10 years old and develop breasts. And Twitch is not the only place doing this. There's also places like Instagram where girls will be, like 10-year-old girls will be in bikinis with their butt cheeks showing, and who do you think is consuming that content? Who is that content for, and who does it benefit? I agree with Asmongold that Twitch hasn't been a safe place for underage kids for a while, but it's gotten worse. And I wouldn't sit here applauding it and cooming out to the changes and cheering and going, woohoo, it's even better now.
Twerking, grinding, and pole dancing are now allowed without a label. All right. Is Twitch back?
This has truly become the Twitch to porn pipeline for children to become future addicts and consumers so that, you know, all these companies can make their ad revenue and money otherwise. And you have children even clicking VTubers that look like, you know, cartoonish characters. They're bright in coloring. Children like cartoons. And, you know, when they're off Twitch, they're doing hentai, this with the same avatar and the same name. They are manipulating children's psychology and using it against them so that they get hooked. But somehow they're supposed to just, quote, choose to not watch it when they can't consent in the first place in order to watch it because they don't know what they're consenting to because they're children. And we wonder why this is a hypersexual culture. And we wonder why children are growing up so fast and losing their innocence and, you know, becoming socially very strange and unable to hold relationships. If you ask anybody who's younger about the dating market, they will tell you how horrible it is. And I think that this culture of hypersexualization has something to do with it. And the worst part about this is that it's so easily preventable. It costs Twitch basically nothing to just blur the thumbnails. It costs Twitch basically nothing to just add certain restrictions that would prevent this. And same goes with YouTube or Google or any other site that does this similar thing, which I have spoken on before. And a lot of these companies that profit off of this explicit content, they want the children to be watching because it makes them money. So that's why they make it so easy and there's no barrier to entry, when they could easily have like a 1 cent paywall to make it so that kids have a harder time accessing it because of a lack of bank account. It's been really annoying to see people say, oh, just don't watch it. Oh, there's bigger problems in the world, when this is possibly one of the biggest issues we should be talking about, because if you don't protect children, you won't have a society. I seriously do not understand the people who seemingly have a children should watch porn position, because like I said on stream, you know who else has that position? And you know who's going to be waiting in these chats waiting for the kids to pour in? Groomers. And I'm not saying that Asmongold wants children to watch it. Clearly he said that he wanted the thumbnails blurred, but at the same time he is cheering it on, which is allowing for that to happen. And with him cheering on the strip teases, which by the way, men could also potentially do this too. So I don't know if people realize that, because they hear that and they're like, their coon brain lights up. They're like, oh yeah, striptease. But do you realize like guys could be in their underwear, like bending their hairy asses into the camera, doing that in front of children too? So my point is, if you're cheering on the sexual content being promoted, even though they allow legal account creation of 13-year-olds, you're part of the problem. But there are genuinely some people out there that seemingly have a pro children should watch porn position, and you really have to ask yourself, who would say that? It's very common when you watch the predator hunting videos. Usually they try to lure in the kids with some sort of explicit content, and then they slowly make it higher. It's like the boiling frog, right? You know, you say some dirty talk and then you expose them to porn, and then they are normalized with it, and then they view it as okay, and then they send photos, and it goes from there. It's a very common tactic that predators use. So I think that this is a terrible idea. I think Twitch needs to make a lot of restrictions on this site, but I don't think they will, because, you know, they shut down the Korean version of Twitch for money. They're clearly hurting for money, and they think that money is worth more than the right to innocence for children. For those of you that need to cleanse yourself after this video, consider visiting Reed Street Soap. This one is Winter Wonderland, and it's really beautiful. It looks like a painting, and it has snowflakes and glitter on the inside. This one smells sweet, kind of like a cookie, but a little bit fresh. I wish you guys could see how glittery it is, because it's really pretty. I guess you'll have to see it in person. If you want to buy the Winter Wonderland candle, you can do so at reedsoap.shop and use the promo code PRESENT for a free mystery gift of a candle or soap. It's a surprise. Or you can have 15% off by using the code Merry Christmas. And I really appreciate you guys supporting a small black business, okay, because I work with them. The last video I made got demonetized, so this really helps out. Or if you want to directly support me, you can go to patreon.com/Brittany Venti as well. And if you go on Patreon, you can become a Patreon producer. So thank you very much. Special shout out to Spectral Citizen for being one. I hope people realize that this is beyond, oh, is it degenerate or not? And it becomes really a problem when kids should not be exposed to this, which is literally throwing it in their face. Everyone growing up on the internet did not really consent to watching porn. It was just kind of thrown in your face, and I really don't think that it's helped us in any way. Now girls and boys are growing up striving to be on OnlyFans the day they turn 18, so it's pretty sad. Thank you for subscribing and liking the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.